Alright, welcome back to AIM's development program, Crane Nuclear's MOV test software analysis. I'm just going to discuss a few key points of analyzing some MOV traces. The particular trace we're going to do is a globe valve that's got just thrust only because it has an anti-rotation device where the strain gauge is mounted below the anti-rotation device, therefore does not see actuator output torque. To see actuator output torque, you would need to mount a TTC or a VTC on the spring pack, some other means of measuring torque. Alright, well, here we go. I'm just going to mark, as you can see on my screen here, I've got the analysis screen a little bit smaller, and I put up the marker toolbar so you can just carry along with what I'm talking about here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zero my thrust trace. Okay, not in particular order, but the things you need to do first are zero your torque thrust spring pack and do your 0 times. I like starting from the very most left part of the trace and just work my way across, putting all the marks in. You can do it however you like, but these marks over here are pretty much the essential basic marks. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to bring up couple different traces here. Open switches. This one will be closed switches. I'm going to bring in. Let's see, does it have? I'm just going to bring up the alpha RMS current. Okay, so right now we're showing strain gauge, open switches, closed switches, and motor current, alpha phase RMS. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this trace here, zoom in out, zoom in on this. We know that the motor start is here, so the first thing that's going to happen is the stem, the tension of the stem is going to go away and level off at some point. So right now I'm going to pick this point just for argument's sake right now. To set the 0, you're just going to put 0, set sig 0, that does it, and at that same point I'm going to mark C3 because it's our tension to compression region. Okay. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the inrush current where the motor just starts. That would be CO. I'm going to hit U to unexpand the screen. Alright, so now we're on our way. Next mark you can see up here is peak inrush, so I'm going to mark peak inrush. There. Again, I'm going to hit U to unexpand it. I always unexpand after each mark to ensure where I am on the trace. Alright, the next marks on the closed side are the running load beginning and running load end. So I'm just going to select a point right about there. And you can either use this methodology to mark traces. That's the C4, and I'm going to put the C5 in near hard C contact. You can either use this menu bar, or you can hit the marker and then click it yourself. But if you see here, Control M or F3 brings up marks, right? So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to hit F3. Oops, make a line right of it. Alright, so once I did the open and closed running load, it also did C25, 28, C19. It did min, max running loads. Alright, so to move on, the green light on. When the green light comes on, on the open trace. That'll be So let me make this one window so you can see it. Okay, we got a trace coming, goes here. We got 10-volt trip, and then we have a 5-volt trip here. Okay, actually that's 12.5 right there. Okay, so right here, this would be the green and the red. Excuse me, the black and the red happening at the same time. So the green light on is when the valve goes to mid-stroke by indication. Alright, next one is I'm going to bring up 2 windows this time. And I'm going to bring up the close switches. Close bypass will be in here. It's a 5-volt trip. This next one would be the C8, which would be a red light going off. Okay, so we got disc motion stop, so I'm going to bring up a spring pack now. Excuse me, strain gage thrust. And in this region is where the stem movement stops. Stem movement stops, hard seat contact. Both of those words can be used interchangeably. So C13 is spring pack starts to compress. I'm going to bring up spring pack. Should be pretty close to where C11 is. Now, you can make an argument at various places, but for my bet, where it really starts sloping up is right about here. Okay. Again, that's up for interpretation, but look at the amount of load we have. So it takes a substantial load to really start compressing the spring pack. I got a feeling this little amount here is gap coming out before the spring pack starts to fully compress. Okay, our next one is C14. To bring up our closed switches again. Closed switches. C14 is to be our closed torque switch opening right here. Okay, motor cutoff and maximum thrust. So we can do maximum thrust while we're here. And final thrust is typically just where it comes to rest, so anywhere in here is fine. And last but not least, we got to do motor stop. We were doing I sub A, RMS, and let me unexpand so you can see. Again, we're looking at the end of the stroke here, and you can see the motor stops right about there. Motor current starts falling off. I'm going to pick this last dot before it starts going down. There you have it. Those are closed marks. If you want to do a quick report, you can go to and alright, well, there you have it. So when you have your traces in front of you, just let me do a quick review. I always start from right to left, as my traces indicate here, and I'm just going to put it in the middle here. Alright, so we developed the motor energized, got the peak inrush faded away, and the stem spring pack is the stem and spring pack are moving the other way on the worm. You get to your zero plateau in here. This would be your closed running load. You'll have hard seat contact, and as your force develops into the seat, your motor will start motor current will start increasing until you get to closed torque switch. Anyway, that's it for this. So please stay tuned for more on the Ames Development Program series on crane analysis.